So 2 Chronicles 29. Hezekiah began to reign when he was 25 years old, and he reigned 29 years in Jerusalem. And his mother name was Hezekiah, and his the daughter of Zechariah. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, according to all that David his father had done. He, in the first year of his reign, in the first month, opened the doors of the house of the Lord and repaired it. And he brought in the priests and the Levites and gathered them together to the east gate. And said unto them, Hear me, ye Levites, sanctify now yourselves, and sanctify the house of the Lord God your fathers, and carry forth the filthiness out of the holy place. For our fathers have trespassed and done that which is evil in the eyes of the Lord our God, and have forsaken him, and have turned away their faces from the habitation of the Lord, and turned their backs. Also they have shut the doors of the porch, and put up the lamps, and have not burned incense, not offered burnt offerings to the holy place, unto the God of Israel. Wherefore the wrath of the Lord was upon Judah and Jerusalem, and he hath delivered them to trouble, to astonishment, and to hissing, as you have seen with your eyes. For lo, our father have fallen by the sword, and our sons and daughters, and our wives are in captivity for this. Now it is in my heart to make a covenant with the Lord God of Israel, that his fierce wrath may turn away from us. My sons, be not now negligent, for the Lord hath chosen you to stand before him, to serve him, and that you should minister unto him, and burn incense. And God bless his word.
When I thought after this morning, I thought, it was such a difficult sermon to preach in one regard, but one I trust that will be of help to us as time goes on. It's one of those ones where it makes us think and challenges our hearts as to why we do things, why we are what we are, why we do what we do. And Jesus talked about motives. And I just wanted to have a look as just step outside of the equation in that regard and look at a man in the Old Testament who had motives himself. And the verse that we looked at this morning is, Blessed are they that hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. And the man I want to look at is a man called Hezekiah. He's one of 3 kings, really, that followed in the footsteps of his forefather David. Prior to him becoming king, his dad Ahaz was probably the most wicked of all the kings outside of Manasseh, who was to follow just after. But Ahaz was an absolute outer. He put out the lamps of God in the temple. We are told that the offerings ceased, no more offerings were offered to the Lord. We're told that the temple was closed and the temple doors were shut and were in a mess. Ultimately, it led to the children of Israel forsaking God, turning away from him. And that's the scene that Hezekiah enters upon. We're not told nothing about him prior to his coming to the throne as king. We're told that he was 25 years of age. His mother's name was Abijah, or Abi, if you read it in the book of 2 Kings. And she was the daughter of Zechariah, which was, I understand, a godly man in one of the other king's reigns earlier. And so this king came up to the throne. We're told that he walked in the ways of David, his forefather. And we understand from David that he walked with a heart like the heart of God. It didn't mean he didn't make mistakes. He made plenty of mistakes. That doesn't in any way throw doubt and thoughts of wondering as to whether God could make mistakes. It doesn't do that at all. But he had a heart after God's own heart. And he served the Lord. It's a lovely verse in the book of Acts that says he served his generation by the will of God. It's a lovely little epitaph to have on your gravestone, that he served his generation by the will of God. And so I just want to look at this man and how quickly things can change when a heart is moved by God. Absolutely astonishing, the changes that take place We're not told that when he was converted, his grandson or great-grandson, Josiah, goes into quite intimate detail about him. He was 8 when he became king, and he began to seek the Lord when he was 16 years of age, Josiah. But Hezekiah, we are told simply that he became king at 25, and as soon as he became king, things changed. Things changed. I was reading the life story of Evan Roberts. I don't know how many versions I've read of it. They all speak of the same thing, but at that time, in those early days of the early 1900s, there were 2 brothers especially that were going around, Seth and Caleb Joshua, brothers, evangelists that went around South Wales especially, down into Cardiff. They were workers in the forward movement, and they had a great response. And there were occasions when they were invited to various conventions, and there had been prayer meetings and different services to encourage the thought of revival throughout the southern end of the valleys and into West Wales, and many were the hearts that were stirred. But when it came to a time over in West Wales, in just over beyond Carmarthen towards Cardigan area, there were a gathering of people, a mixture of students from the Bible school and from the grammar school and from different ones gathered together, and Seth Joshua was preaching. Joseph Jenkins was the minister there at that time. He was actually a minister down in Penyrheol in later years, so it's quite a link there in regards of that. But in the meeting that they were sat, there was a group of men, or young men. Evan Roberts, I think, was 26 at the time, and he heard Seth Joshua preach, and from that service, a great cry went up within his heart unto heaven. Oh Lord, will you bend me? Will you bend me? And he felt as if God, it wasn't just the beginning of the dealings. For many months, he had been stirred deeply, seeking after God in the early hours of the morning. Many were the hours that were spent around about 1 till about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, and then he would go back to sleep again, whilst his brother Dan was in the bed next to him. He would be there fast asleep, and Evan would be there seeking the face of God in the bedroom. And then this day came, and he knew within his heart that things had changed. We sing that song, don't we? Things are different now. Something's happened to me. And something happened within his heart. It wasn't the beginning of it. It was the fruit of what had been going on. And we're told that he felt the voice of God speaking to his heart. Go back to your home, to Lacha. Just by the river Lacha there, a little village. That's where Steve Jordan is tonight, with his wife Jane. Down with the youngest daughter, I've forgotten her name now. Charlene. That's where they are tonight, down in Lacha. But he went back to his home church. And before he went, he spoke to his pastor. And he said, Pastor, do you think this is the voice of God or the voice of the devil? What is he telling you? He said, go back to your home church and speak to the youth there and tell them of certain things. And he went in detail. And the old pastor turned and said to him, or his Bible teacher turned around and said to him, do you know, Evan, the devil doesn't speak like that. You go home. Make your way home. And he went. And the following night in the youth service, there were 17 people there. And 17 people rededicated their life to the Lord as he gave their testimony. And from there, that youth service, that grand revival started. It shook Wales. Shook Wales to its core. I don't think I understand it. I don't know about you. But when you hear of Wales, when you think its population then would have been about 1 million strong, and over 100,000 souls at least were brought into the kingdom. Incredible. 1 in 10. In a 6-month period between November 1904 to April 1906, a concentrated period. Doesn't mean things weren't happening after that. There were still some lovely things going on, but that's the intense time. He was in Lacha, and then he went across to Mountain Ash or Aberdare to a village there. Someone invited him across. Things changed in Russia, and things changed in the Cannon Valley. Things changed in the Rhondda Valley in such a wonderful, wonderful way. And I think Maldwyn has got that list of all the different numbers that were converted in various villages. I think in Singenneth, 1904, over 500 souls were converted. That's amazing. Amazing. Strip away all the new builds that are up there, and you just got the terraces where all the miners lived. 500 men and women and children came into the kingdom of God. In Abertridge, a couple of hundred. Astonishing things went on. And it happened when a man gave his heart to Christ. And to do things for Christ's glory alone, not his own. He made mistakes, I have no doubt about that. You just got to read the account so you could see that he made mistakes. He admits himself he made mistakes. But oh, what a difference it makes when Christ dwells within our hearts to such an extent. And here is a similar story of a man that turned a nation upside down, his home city, in 17 days. I've titled it, First of the First of the First, because that's when it all started. In verse 3 it says, in the first month of the first year of his reign, Hezekiah opened the house, or the doors of the house of the Lord, and repaired them. Later on we find that it happened on the first day of the first month of the first year of his reign. I always get frustrated with commentaries. They say, well, surely this doesn't mean the first day of his reign. Well, what does it mean then? They say, no, what it means is that it was the first day of the first month of the first year. That's exactly what I thought. The first day of his reign, he didn't have a party. He didn't look after the group that was select for his family. He opened the doors of the house of the Lord. That's what he did. Let's put aside some different thing where people turn around and say, well, we can't see how it can happen so quickly. On the first day of the first month of the first year of his reign, he opened the doors of the temple and repaired them. What it is, when there comes that desire within the heart, that hungering, that thirsting, that desire to be filled with God, that desire to see God fill everything, and doors might be shut and they might be in heck of a mess off their hinges and dust and dirt everywhere, cloths over lamps and the burnt offering table or the altar in a heck of a mess, all ashes and everything, but let's get things together. So the first thing he does, on the first day of the first month of the first year, he calls together the priests and the Levites. Now we won't go into their names, but it specifically gives a list of names that responded to him immediately, that had an influence on all the others. Verse 12 says this, he spoke to the Levites and the priests, and the Levites arose and gathered together their brethren and set themselves apart to cleanse the temple. What I like about this work, and what I like about the Welsh revival and almost every other revival, is that once there is a part of us that wants to see the man or the woman that's at the very heart of it, what I find with Hezekiah, what I find with Evan Roberts, what I find with other ones that had the various revivals down through the years, there's always a group of people functioning somewhere. They may not be linked in any way or form. They might work under a different denomination. They might not even believe the same things that another group holds to outside of the fundamentals. But God has a wonderful ability to stir people's hearts. And here was a group of Levites and priests who hearkened to what Hezekiah said, and they responded immediately. Let's give ourselves to the work. Have you ever felt like that? Have you ever felt like that? Where you've heard something and you say, now I want to give myself to Christ. I want to give myself to his work, to his service, to his purpose. I want to join this happy band. So here, Hezekiah, he speaks to a group of priests and Levites, and they respond. Oh, they respond. They set themselves apart. Have you ever done that? If you ever set yourself apart, if you ever turned around and said, Lord, from now on, I'm yours. It begins to cause doubts within our hearts, fears. Where will it take us? What will happen to us? Will it mean getting involved with people that we don't really want to get involved with, that have complications to their lives? We live it that people would come in through the door that are just normal. But normal and abnormal people need to get saved. And the complexities of today generally tells us that it's not going to be normal people coming through the doors. It's going to be people that are broken, people that are in need, people that are not able to express what's deep down within their soul. But God has a wonderful way of working in hearts that are broken like that. He's looking for the people that will set themselves apart. He's not looking for a big man. Joshua said, Lord, will you bring someone out of the mines? Someone who can speak the language of the people, that can speak just like they speak. Will you bring someone out? And old Evan Roberts came up out of the pit. Sure, he speaks to the priests and Levites, and they challenge them. They begin on the first day of the first month, and on the 16th day, they finished. Pretty rapid, isn't it? There was that much rubbish in the temple that they had to remove it in relays. They removed it from the Holy of Holies. They removed all the rubbish from the holy place into the court area. It took 8 days to get all the stuff out. It took a further 8 days to get all the stuff out of the court outside into the rubbish area, into the Kidron, the rubbish dump, where they put it all. 16 days in total, working in relays. 8 days getting out from the inner place, and then the sanctuary, and then out into the outer court, and from the outer court another 8 days. They had dedicated themselves to it. Not a pleasant job, would it have been? Not a pleasant job. There would have been some flesh in there that would have been gangrenous. The smell, the stench, the dirt, the filth. And all the different idols that Ahaz, the father of Hezekiah, had put up into the temple. It would have been steeped in all the filth of this world. But they set themselves apart and gave themselves to it. 16 days it took. Verse 20 says this. Hezekiah rose early. So on the 16th day, the announcement went to start on the first day. On the 16th day it was cleansed. Verse 20 says he rose early. When? Well, the next morning. He's not satisfied. He rose early the next morning, and he's now spreading out the news of what's going on. He gathers together the rulers and went to the temple with both sin offerings and burnt offerings, and they made an atonement for all Israel. You know, it's very, very easy to pray for those things that concern yourself. I mentioned this morning that even in private we have to pray, Our Father. Generally now. Even in private we just say, Our Father. So immediately we incorporate others into our prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed is your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done. The things that concerns God. Your name, your kingdom, your will. And then secondly, the things that concern us, our bread, our sins, our deliverance. And those prayers are there. Here, notice what he does. He makes atonement for all Israel. Now, Israel at that time were divided, south and northern kingdoms, and they'd been at war for years. The king who was in the north at this time was so influenced by Hezekiah that he has this written about him. His name was Hoshea. 2 Kings, I think, 18 turns and speaks of him, or 17 turns and speaks of him and says this. Hoshea did that which was not right in the sight of the Lord, but not like the sins of his fathers. That's all is said about him. Why? We'll find out in just a moment of the effect of this making atonement for all Israel had. No, he was not changed completely, but he was deeply influenced by how Hezekiah was able to minister to so many people. You never know, see. You never know when you're a Christian, wherever you are, the effect you can have on people's lives. You never know. A little word in season, a little reaction, a response, a warmth, a genial attitude that you might have, suddenly opens up a door that has been shut to everyone else. I remember Mo Brock telling us, me and Judah sat in Morgan Jones's park one time. We were sat on the hill where the old pitch and putt course used to be. Remember where that used to be in Caerphilly Park? We were sat there, the roundabout was just below us, and we were talking about an individual that really needed help. They weren't eating properly, him and his wife, and they were just in a mess. And Judah said to us, he said, well, it might be a good thing, Mo, if we go there and you'll never get in there. We've tried, you'll never get in there. So we thought, well, we'll try. Do you know what? We got in there. And it wasn't pleasant. There were times when you held your breath. There were times when you didn't feel comfortable. But a door was open. You never know, see. You really never know. And so, they gathered together. He made atonement for all his. It's wrong for us to pray for revival here. It's wrong. We have to go out and pray for all. If we just concern ourselves with ourselves for looking for some improvement in some sort of area, then we'll find that our prayers will become more and more inward. We need to stretch out and incorporate the prayers in our hearts, in our gatherings for the other churches. It has not left my heart since the time I met Gareth Coombs, the minister of St. Martin's, in my brother-in-law's funeral. When we stood and we talked and I looked at him and I listened to him, and I was just so glad we've got this building. Yes. Just so glad we got it. He's up there, the building is cold. We are too warm. Up there, the building is dark. We're nice and light. Up there are pillars that obscure any vision to any groups of people in the whole of the... I don't envy him one bit. He's got a job to do, and remember with him, I work on the principle that Andy up there in Bethel is working hard. And it's not right for me to trespass onto his area where he's working. That's the way I hold it. Now, I might be wrong, but I think that's the right attitude. He, Gareth Coombs, will have the mindset that the whole of Caerphilly is his parish. That's what he will have as the leading minister of the church in Wales in Caerphilly. He will look upon Caerphilly, Singeni, Abertrillo as his parish. He needs a big heart for that. And we need to pray that God might give him such a heart, that the Lord would bless him. It would be wrong for us just to narrow our prayers to here, that revival would come here. No, we want revival to come to our land, that the Lord would fall by great measures of his Spirit. Well, they offered for all Israel. Verse 27 just gives us a little insight. I wonder what went on. This is what it says. When the burnt offering began, the song of the Lord began. The song of the Lord began. The people rejoiced. The singers sang, the trumpeters sounded, and the people bowed their heads and worshipped. The burnt offering began, and the song of the Lord began. Wouldn't it be lovely to have that song of the Lord? They talk about it from revival days. They talk about songs of the Spirit in those days, when men, women and children would sing, and the Spirit of God would be upon them. I've heard of times in days gone by when Jack would be on the piano perhaps. They tell me he was filled with the Spirit when he was on the piano. That's when he was first filled with the Spirit. And there were times, I understand, in his career when he was playing the piano, that the Spirit of God would come upon him. The song of the Lord began. And there would be other times when there would be different individuals that would sing and lift up their voices. The song of the Lord began. Do you know, they even talk about angelic voices in some of the meetings. Voices that came from above the congregation, not in the congregation. the song of the Lord began. The singers sang, the trumpeters sounded, and the people bowed their heads and worshipped. It was spreading, see. First it was the Levites and the priests. Then it was the rulers. But now it's the assembly. People were gathering. Just like Jesus up on the mountain, gathering his disciples. But by the end, the mountain was full. It says the people were astonished at his doctrine, for he taught them as one having authority. Not like the scribe. They all came from everywhere. Here, the Spirit of God was moving. And it started in a man whose motives were right, who walked in the ways of his forefather, David. Verse 36 tells us this: Hezekiah and all the people rejoiced that God had prepared the people, since the events took place so suddenly. 17 days, and the city had been turned upside down. 17 days, and the church, the temple, was functioning like it had not functioned for years. And we're going to have, God willing, a carpet laying. And we've got to clean out that little pantry. And I look at it, go in there sometimes, and I walk back out again. And I go, oh, look at it in here. It's just so dark. I never put you in there, Carl. You'll have a heart attack with the wet cobwebs in there. But the people rejoiced. They were taken aback because the work was done so suddenly. Doesn't that teach us to keep on our toes? To keep on our toes. You see, when the blessing of God falls, it doesn't all run sweetly. Please be sure of that now. It doesn't. Evan Roberts was invited to Dowlice. And Dowlice was already experiencing a sort of revival. Many souls had been saved in the church in the area that he was to visit. When he visited, there was a write-up in the South Wales Echo from the minister where that revival had been, and he did nothing but criticize the work of Evan Roberts. And his work came hardly to anything in Dowlice, to what it could have been and what it should have been. We need to be on our toes. We need to be there ready. Levites set apart, rulers in the house of God, the assembly there in the courtyard, bowing their heads and worshipping and rejoicing, singers singing, trumpeters blowing, and everyone gathered together as the sin offering and the burnt offerings are there. Well, the trouble was, it was the first month of the first year, and in the first month of the first year is the Passover, and the Passover starts on the 14th day of the month. And now they were on the 17th day. So Hezekiah, he says, well, wait a minute. There's a clause in the law that says, if you're unable to keep the Passover in the first month, you can move it to the second month. And so we sent out letters. Now the commentaries again, they do exactly the same again. But what it means, he sent off in the first month, for not this second month, but for a year on. Well, why have it in the second month then? That don't make sense. The commentary, they are so frustrating sometimes. Some of it is so good. And then you come across things where they just put a little clause in, you think, well, why do you want to put that in there for? Why do they put in the Sunday school books, or they used to, wouldn't it? That little stream that fed the whole of the children of Israel in the desert. The greater miracle is that it fed 2 million people, that it fed hundreds of thousands of sheep and cattle and donkeys and camels, all from that little stream. When Moses struck that rock, he had to get into the way, because there came gushings of water of life from there. that filled and turned the desert into a place where even camels could drink their fill. Well, let's move on. It's the Passover, and it's moved into the second month. I can't see where they get a possibility of another year passing. If another year goes, why are they going into the second month? Could they be in the first month then, wouldn't they? Do you understand what I mean? See what it says. The first tracks to go out into the land. Chapter 30, verse 1. Hezekiah sent to all Israel and Judah letters to come to the house of the Lord to keep the Passover. Send out letters. Send out runners. Send out people. You see, they were Levites and priests. There were some in the congregation that couldn't do that. There were some in the congregation that were fit and healthy. Some in the congregation that could get on a horse and ride. Some in the congregation that could go here, there and everywhere. Had no worries within. And so the congregation worked and functioned together. He sent out letters inviting all Israel to come. Now, I think the busiest mind I've ever come across is Roger Rowlands. I've never come across a mind like his in all my life. That's the minister in Connect Church. I was not a criticism, just mean as a fact. He has got the busiest mind I've ever come across. When we met for a cup of coffee, I always remember, we sat down, met together, and he said, I said, oh, how's things, Rog? We just came to know each other. I said, how's things? You busy? And he listed all these projects. For the first 45 minutes, I hardly got a word in edgeways. He was telling about this and that. And after 45 minutes, he said, what about you, Mark? And we just moved from Signs of Fellowship 2 to number 4. He was talking about building projects, all different projects, and people off the street projects, and all the food bank projects, and all the singing projects, all the new wiring projects, and SB, Songs of Fellowship 2 to 4. I said, oh, we're in transition much. We're in transition. And he quickly moved on. Perhaps I had Songs of Fellowship 4 on my forehead there, I don't know. But Hezekiah's got a busy, busy heart. And he said, we've got to get the people together now for the Passover. We can move into the second month. The Lord allows us that. Let's get in there. And so he sends off these runners. Verses 5 to 13 or 5 to 11 says this. They announced it from Beersheba to Dan. That's from south to north. That's what that means. From south to north. One of the rare terms that's ever used of Israel. From Beersheba to Dan, from south to north, from the deepest of the desert, I forgot the name of the desert, down there in the south in Judea, right up to Dan in the northwest corner there. And so he sent to them. They went from city to city. Some of the people mocked. Nevertheless, they came from Asher, from Manasseh and Zebulun. They humbled themselves, and they came. Verse 13 says this, and a great assembly gathered at Jerusalem. This is in the second month. See what happens when the Spirit of God moves. See what happens. See what happens when a man gives his life to Christ in such a measure that they say, well, why don't we shift the Passover for a year? No, wait a minute, the law says we can do it next month. And he's battling all these different thoughts, all the negatives that will come together. And he's saying, no, look, let's push it out. Let's get them letters out. Let's see how we can do what can come of it. And so he sends up to the north, he sends down to the south, and he invites them. Verse 13 says this, and a great assembly gathered at Jerusalem. What a lovely thought, isn't that? What a lovely thought. Verse 27 says this, Levites arose. You see, earlier we read that way. The Levites arose and spoke to the priest. Let's set ourselves apart. The Levites here arose and they blessed their people. And their voice was heard. And their prayer rose up to the holy place, to heaven. But just prior to that it says this. Of Judah, wait a minute, I've gone too far there. There we are, there it is. There was great joy in Jerusalem, for not since the days of Solomon had there been anything like this. All the different kings. There's an even sadder comment in Josiah's day. He goes there, not since the days of Samuel the prophet, when Josiah celebrated the Feast of Tabernacles. Not since the days of Samuel. What a thing to have said about the generations before, that they'd not fulfilled what God had asked them to do. That includes David, look. And so we find with this man here, there was great joy in Jerusalem, for not since the days of Solomon had there been anything like this. The Levites arose and they blessed the people, and their prayer was heard. Such a sense of God there, isn't there? They blessed the people, no longer looking at them with suspicion, no longer looking as to whether or not the next chapter, or the chapter after this, deals all with Hezekiah's concern how the Levites and the priests would be sustained with tithes and offerings. And they'd been looking at the people, and the people had stopped giving to them, maybe justly so, because they weren't doing what they ought to have done. But now they lift their hands and they bless the people of God. I say it again. When was the last gathering together of God's people where the blessing of God has fallen in such wonderful measures? When we've sensed that he is so very, very near, and he's not there to punish us, he's there to relieve us, he's there to stir us, he's there to fill us, he's there to enable us and empower us, he's there to heal us and forgive us. He's there to save us. He's there to lead us. When was those meetings that the scriptures promise so constantly for when the people of God come together, that blessing falls in these measures? They lifted their hands and blessed the people. We read of Aaron on the first occasion that he operated in his priestly office, and it says he went into the tabernacle and came back out and lifted his hand and blessed the people. And it says, and they looked and they saw the glory of God from his hand. You can be so full of blessing, it can pour out of you. Yes. Pour out of you. As a child and servant of Christ. Well, chapter 31, verse 1. When all this was finished, all Israel that were present went out to the cities of Judah, Benjamin, Ephraim, and Manasseh, pulling down pillars and images and altars. He had seen within 17 days Jerusalem stirred. In the second month, he's seen as much of Israel as would come, that would respond, that as it says here, that would humble themselves. He's seen a great multitude come down from the northern tribes. And the ungodly king in the north didn't stop them. He didn't stop them. I wondered as to whether or not that's the reason it says he did not walk in the sins of his fathers. He had some outers for fathers. Ahab was one of them. He had an outer of a mother as well, or a grandmother. What's her name? Jezebel. She would have been of the same blood. Or of the, not the same blood, but certainly of the same row. And so we find with these, that they went out, and then we find that even Israel itself, for a temporary time, just for a few years, God granted grace, that she might know blessing. And the altars, the pillars, the images, the high places were all broken down. And it started when a man called Hezekiah gave his life to Christ. That's when it started. And it was allowed to show itself. In closing, this is what it says in verse 20 to 21. Hezekiah did what was right in the sight of the Lord. in every work he began in the service of the house of the Lord, in the law and in the commandment, to seek his God, he did it with all his heart. Can we, now I'm not saying this up, can you say that? Can we say that? Can I say that? That we've done it with all of our hearts. That still doesn't mean it'll be perfect. But it means you've done everything possible within your heart to follow his command. May God grant it to us. And see, oh, the bliss of those that hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be